Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video we will be making this beautiful scarf using what they call a lattice pattern. I know, especially for you beginners looking at this, you're probably thinking there's no way I can make this. This is too advanced. I'm just starting out, but I want to assure you that that is not the case. You can make this. Just follow my video, my steps, my instruction very closely, and you will be able to do it. Let's get to it. Things you will need include a pair of scissors. We'll start with the easy. A darning, weaving tapestry needle. Okay. You're gonna need a size 8mm US crochet hook, okay, and it's L. And also you're going to need some yarn, okay. I will leave a link to the yarn, these stitch markers if I can find them, and also the crochet hook in the description, so check it out. Also, stitch markers, you need 6 of them if you're going to make your scarf as wide as I'm making mine. If you're going to make it narrower, then you'll need fewer. Okay, so if you have 6, you'll have enough. If you make it wider than I am going to make my scarf, then you're going to need more stitch markers. Also, if you don't have stitch markers, you can use safety pins, you can use paper clips, you can use yarn of a different color. You just need something to be able to mark the stitches, okay? And yeah, I'll explain more about that a little bit later. Speaking of how wide you're going to make your scarf, well, the way that we determine that is by using a multiple of 6 plus 3, okay? Today, I'm going to be chaining out 21 stitches. How did you get to 21, Atreyu? How did you arrive at that number? Well, I'm going to do the multiple of 6. I'm going to say 6 times 3, that's 18, plus 3, and that gets me to 21. And that is plenty wide, okay? So if you want to make it smaller, you could, and when I say smaller, I mean narrower, then you could do 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 3, 15 stitches. You could chain out 15. Or if you wanted to go wider than my scarf, instead of doing 6 times 3 plus 3, you could do 6 times 4, which is 24, plus 3, which gets you to 27, and make it even wider, okay? It's all up to you. You guys, you have options. Alright, enough talking. Let's crochet. Alright, so I'm going to start out with a slip knot, as I always do. So wrap it, twist, exchange. Wrap this over your finger like that. We're going to pull this one over that one and off the finger while pulling up on the one that's still on our finger, like that. We're going to insert our size 8mm US crochet hook in, and then pull to tighten. Now we're going to chain 6 times 3 plus 3, which is 21. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Alright, I kind of underestimated how large this yarn is in terms of coming up with a suitable width. This is plenty long enough. Okay, so this is the 6 times 2, which gets me to 12 plus 3, which is 15. And that gets me to my 15 chains. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, you can continue on and go to 21, but this is plenty long enough, let me just say. Alright, so now we are going to put our first single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Okay, so this is the first chain from the hook, that's the hook. This is the second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, hook. So we're going to put a single crochet in to this second chain right there from the hook. So just insert your crochet hook, yarn over, pull through to the front. You have 2 loops, 1, 2, yarn over, and go through 2. 1 and 2. like that. And that's our first single crochet. With yarn this thick and this plush, it might be a little bit hard to identify the chains, but they're here, okay? It's right here. That's the next one. If you pull up, you'll see that that single crochet is in there, right? And right here, that hasn't been used yet, so that's the next chain. And we'll just repeat. Insert your crochet hook without yarning over. Yarn over. Now pull through to the front, 2 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. Repeat. Here's the next one, because that one is in there. So this is the next one, okay? Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. Like that. Alright? Continue putting 1 single crochet in every chain across, and I'll meet you at the end. Alrighty, I have made it across, and if you ended up only chaining out 15 like me, you should have 14 single crochets. Why 14, Atreyu? You chained out 15. Well, remember we skipped that first chain, right, by putting our first single crochet into the second chain from the hook when it was there, right? So we ended up only having 14 single crochets. Let's count them. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and these are the tops, okay? 13 and 14, okay? So if you start with like chaining 21, right? If you go that next multiple higher, say you're using a smaller yarn, okay? And you chain out 21, when you complete this row, you should have 20 single crochets, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so now we're going to start what we're going to call row 1. This is going to be the pattern that you're going to be repeating, okay? You're going to be repeating rows 1 through 8, okay? So you always start out by chaining 1, like that, okay? And then you're going to turn your work, and this same single crochet, that last single crochet, that's the top, right? That's where the chain 1 is coming out of. That's where you're always going to put your first single crochet of the row, okay? So you'll slice the icing off the top of the cake like that, okay? Yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 to make your single crochet. The next one, just repeat. Next stitch, single crochet. Next stitch, single crochet. Next stitch, single crochet. Okay? Continue putting 1 single crochet in every single crochet across, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, I'm almost at the end. I have 13 single crochets, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Remember, I should be maintaining 14 single crochets now. That means I have 1 more single crochet to enter, which is there. That's the top of it. You can see the little fuzzy heart shape. So slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2, like that. Now, there is a chain 1 over here, but you'll never try to crochet into that chain 1. That's why we start at the very first stitch over here, so we don't have to try to crochet into that last chain 1, and we still maintain the same number of stitches, the 14, okay? So now we get to the interesting part where we get to place some stitch markers or paper clips if you're using those, or safety pins if you're using those, or yarn of a different color if you don't have any of the aforementioned types of stitch markers. So we just completed row 1. Whenever you complete row 1 and row 5 as well, if you are someone who wants to use stitch markers, then you want to stop after you complete row 1, and once again after you complete row 5, to place those stitch markers, okay? So we just completed row 1, and I know this is weird because it seems like that would be row 1, but no. What we just completed right here is row 1, and the pattern repeat will be rows 1 through row 8. So we just completed row 1. What you're going to do is chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work. Alright, and now we're going to place those stitch markers. So the way that this is going to work is that we're going to place our first stitch marker into the second stitch from the end. So here's the first single crochet right there, okay, and here's the body of it right there. But I want the first stitch marker that I placed to be the second stitch. So there's the second single crochet, there's the top of it. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay? And here's the body of that single crochet. Right there. Okay? I know it's a little tough to see because it's dark right now. It's the dark part of the color. Okay, so I'm going to grab my first stitch marker. Remember, you can use a paper clip, safety pin, yarn of a different color, and just mark the stitch. Alright, so we put a stitch marker on the second single crochet over from the beginning. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to skip 4 single crochets. So that one's in, the stitch markers in that one. Now we skip 1 single crochet, we skip 2 single crochet, we skip 3 single crochet, we skip 4 single crochet, and in this 5th one over, that's where we're going to place our next stitch marker. But we don't place it up there, we place it in the body of that single crochet. So that will be here. That's the body of the top of this single crochet. I know it's a little tough to see because the yarn is fuzzy, but it's going to feel wonderful when you have it wrapped around you, so bear with me. Alright, so I'm going to put a stitch marker in that one. Okay. So now that we've placed that second stitch marker, we're going to place a stitch marker in the very next stitch. Okay, so that's the stitch that we just placed a stitch marker in. Here's the next stitch, but here's the body of the next stitch right there. Okay, so that's where we're going to place that second stitch marker, or the third stitch marker actually, but the second consecutive stitch marker, I'll say it like that. Okay, and we'll pull that out. Alright, so let's just recap before moving on. We placed our first stitch marker in the second single crochet, okay? And then we skipped 4, skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4. And then we put 1 stitch marker in the next 2, okay? So 1, 2. And now we're going to skip 4 again. So skip 1, skip 2. It's easier when you look at the tops. Skip 3, skip 4, right? And then we're going to place a stitch marker in that 5th one away. But once again, you don't put it there, you put it in the body of that single crochet, which is there. See that? Okay. So that's where I'm going to place my final stitch marker. And I want symmetry, so I should have 1 more single crochet here, which is there. Okay. Notice I have symmetry. The stitch marker is on this side is in the second stitch from that end, right? Here's 1 single crochet and then the stitch marker, and on this end there's that single crochet, but then it's also the second stitch from the end on that side, and then in the center you have the 2. Okay, so symmetry has been achieved, which is a great thing. It makes your projects look nice. Also, you'll notice that I only used 4 stitch markers. That's because I ended up not chaining 20 at the beginning. I found out that chaining 15 for me made it wide enough because of the size of the yarn and the size of the crochet hook, right? And I told you guys before that if you made it your scarves narrower, then you use fewer. Okay, so in this case, you see I use 4 stitch markers instead of 6. If you went to a higher multiple, so 6 times 4 is 24 plus 3 is 27, then you would use more than 6 stitch markers. By the way, if you're wondering, well, what if I did do 21? How would I continue? How would I know where to place the stitch markers? Well, you would continue with this center pattern. So in this next one, you will put a stitch marker, and then you would skip 4 stitches again, skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, and then in that 5th one, you put another stitch marker. And then you should have the 1 stitch left over at the end, the way you do here. Okay? And that's how you would make it wider. I don't know if you saw that. Skip 1. So I put another stitch marker there, right? and that'd be like these two. And then I skip 4 again, so skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, put a stitch marker, and then that final stitch, that final single crochet, that final vacant single crochet like that one without a stitch marker would be there. Okay, so that's how you would continue on. So whenever you're working in the center, you would have consecutive stitch markers, okay, but at the ends you always have the one single crochet at the end and then the stitch marker and the next stitch. And in this case you have the stitch marker and the penultimate stitch, or the second to last stitch, and then the available free stitch single crochet there. Okay, hopefully that helps. And yeah, that's now continue on. So I'm gonna get that stitch marker out of the way because I don't need it. I've already chained 1, and now this is row 2, and for rows 2 and 3 I'm just gonna make regular single crochets. Remember to always go into the very first stitch of the row. Okay, this will allow us to maintain, in this case, 14 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, slicing the icing off the top of the cake, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and in this last one, find the top, 14. Okay, remember, don't try to single crochet into that chain 1 on the end. That was the purpose of putting our very first single crochet in the very first stitch there. Alright, so that's row 2. Let's go to row 3, chain 1, turn our work, and don't forget to put 1 in that first stitch. Just do the same thing, 1 single crochet in every stitch. I will meet you once I complete row 3. See you there. Alrighty, we just completed row 3. Okay, so now we're gonna chain 1, turn our work, and now we're on row 4, and this is where we get to start the fun. We get to start those front post treble crochets. Okay, so you're first gonna start out by making 3 single crochets, 1 in the first 3 stitches. Don't forget to always put that single crochet in the same stitch that that chain 1 is coming out of, so it's that very first stitch there. So slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2, like we've been doing the whole time. Next stitch can be easier to maybe find the top, okay, like that, yarn over, and make a single crochet. And then the next one is there, a little bit easier because it's lighter, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through. Okay, now we're going to put our first treble crochet. Where do we go? Yes, we're going to go down to where that stitch marker is. So this is why this can help beginners, because they may not know where to go. If someone said, okay, go back 3 rows and to the second single crochet of, that row. So 3 rows down, second single crochet. You might be like, what? You're not, used to identifying the stitches, especially once you've crocheted into them. So that's why using stitch markers help. But I can easily see, okay, that orange stitch marker, that's marking the second single crochet over. So 1, 2, second single crochet, and 3 rows down. Okay, so what we're going to do is, to make a treble crochet, in general, you yarn over twice. So 1 and then 2. Okay, now to do the front post part, what we do is we come from the front and we go down to that stitch and we stick it on the right side of that stitch. Okay, we go out through the back like that. Okay, you guys see that? Okay, so I went out on the right side of the stitch and the stitch marker. Stitch, right side of the stitch marker, which is marking that stitch right there, out to the back, and then I'm just going to go right around to the other side and come out on the other side of the stitch and stitch marker. And you want to make sure that you don't grab any yarn that you're not supposed to, okay? So come right out on that other side like that, okay? Now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull that back out the way we came, and we're going to give ourselves some slack. So just kind of pull up so you get back up to the height of the current row that you're working at and working on, okay? And now that's going to leave us with 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to yarn over and go through 2 3 times. So yarn over, go through 1, 2. That's 1. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. That's the second time. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. That's the third time. So we yarned over, went through 2 3 times, and that creates that slant. Okay? Now we're going to make another front post treble crochet. And yes, we're going to go into this stitch where that stitch marker is. So yarn over twice. 1, 2. Go down from the front, because this is a front post treble crochet, on the right side of the stitch and stitch marker. Go out to the back like that. Okay? See that? And then we're going to just bring it around and come back out to the front, just on the other side of the stitch, just on the left side of the stitch and stitch marker. So that's kind of what it looks like. Okay? Now we're going to bring our yarn forward, yarn over, and we're going to pull it through back out to the front. And we're going to give ourselves some slack so that we can get up to the height of the current row that we're working on. And then you'll notice that you have 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to yarn over and go through 2 3 times. So yarn over, go through 1, 2. Okay? Yarn over, go through 1 and 2. That's the second time. Yarn over, go through 1 and 2 for the third time. And that creates a slant that way. Okay. Now, you guys, we're going to put 4 consecutive single crochets again, okay? Now you might be wondering, well, where do I start? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So, we just made 2 consecutive front post treble crochets, right? So if we start from the beginning, we made 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, right? And then we made 2 front post treble crochets. So that really should take up two stitches, right? So what I like to do is I like to pull them back like that toward me, and then I look at where the last stitch, single crochet, where it was crocheted into by that third single crochet. So by this stitch. So 1, 2, 3, that's the third single crochet, and then we went to the front post. So that third single crochet is in that stitch right there, that single crochet there. So that means this is the next one, and that's the free one, right? So when we pull that back, so here is the 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, right? Alright, so if I pull that back, I see that third one is in that one. This right here is the next available single crochet. We haven't used that. But the first front post treble crochet will count for that one, and then the next front post treble crochet, that second one, will count for that stitch. Alright? So the actual next single crochet is this one right there. Okay? And that's where we're going to start our single crochets. So basically, we have these 3 single crochets that we made, 1, 2, 3. We skipped 2 because we made 2 front post treble crochets, and in this third one, after skipping 2, skip 1, skip 2, in this one, that's where we're going to start with our single crochets. Okay? So it'll be like this. Yarn over, pull through to the front, and just make a single crochet. Now, after you make 2 front post, or 2 consecutive front post treble crochets, you want to crochet 4 single crochets, or another way to say that, 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So this was 1, okay? Then the next one, we'll get the second single crochet. Then the next one, we'll get the third single crochet. And then the next stitch, right there, we'll get the 4th single crochet. So those are our 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you guys can probably tell it's time to make another front post treble crochet because there's that stitch marker. So, just like last time, we're going to yarn over twice. So 1, 2, I'm going to go down to where the stitch marker is, enter on the right side of it, go to the back, right? Come back out around, coming out just on the other side of it, and try not to grab any other yarn. Okay, pull your yarn forward so you can yarn over like that, and then pull it back through. Now give yourself slack so you can get up to the height of the current row. Alright, now we're going to yarn over and go through 2 3 times. So 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, and yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Okay, so now we are going to make another front post treble crochet. So back to back, okay? Just like we did right here. They were back to back, now this is back to back. So yarn over twice, 1, 2, go down to the right side of that single crochet, on the right side of it, go out to the back, come back out around to the front, bring your yarn forward, yarn over, and then pull through. Give yourself some slack, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, and 2. Okay. Remember, symmetry is very important. So now, how do you think we end this row? Well, we started with 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. So most likely we're going to end with 3, okay? But let's make sure the math checks out. Just like before, we're going to pull this back and look at the last stitch that was crocheted into, which was there, right? That was crocheted into. So this one is free. So that's for the first front post treble crochet. This next one is free, obviously, because that one was, so that one definitely is. That's for the second front post treble crochet. And then we have this stitch right here, 1, that one right there, 2, and the last stitch, 3. So it checks out. Okay, so we skip 1, skip 2, and then put our 3 single crochets in these 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. So we'll insert a crochet hook into that one, and we can actually get our yarn to the back before we insert our crochet hook. Now that it's in the back, we'll just make our single crochets. Let me get my yarn adjusted. Okay, so 1, next one, 2, and next one, the final one. Slicing the icing off the top of the cake like that. Okay, and make sure you get both loops like that. 3. Okay, and that's how you do it. Okay, so now we get to crochet 3 more rows of single crochet, so it's easy. Alright, so chain 1. Alright, turn our work, and remember to always crochet into that very first single crochet there. So 1, I'm going to count, remember I should still have 14 stitches. 2, 3. Okay, something I notice is that when I get to these, they're not attached. Why aren't they attached? Why is there this gap? Ah, because that's where I made my front post treble crochets, right? So make sure you don't try to go down there. No, you want to go into the actual top of the front post treble crochet. So here's the top. Let me show you what that looks like on the front. See, that's the top of it right there. I sliced the icing off the top of the cake. Put my single crochet in that one, and then the second one right there. See, I'm gonna put my single crochet in that one. Alright, and now I'll continue with my single crochets. I'm supposed to be counting, aren't I? I am. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. 7, 8, 9. Back to the front post, so make sure I don't crochet down there. I crochet in the top of the actual front post treble crochet there. Okay. And then here's another one. Top of the actual front post treble crochet, which is there. And I lost my count again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alright. 12, 13, and then this last one, last single crochet, will be my 14. So I maintained 14 stitches like I want it. Alright. I will chain 1 and turn my work like that. Okay. So now I am going to relocate my stitch markers. Okay. Remember, so I just completed row 5. And remember I told you before that when you complete row 1, you stop, place your stitch markers, and then you also do that again with row 5. So I just completed row 5. Technically I'm about to start row 6, but before I actually start row 6, which is just a row of single crochets, row 6 and 7 will also be just a row of single crochets, I want to relocate these stitch markers. Okay? But since I have a lot of stitch markers in my possession, I'm going to leave these and add some other ones. Okay? So, how do I want to place these? Well, the rule will be to, when we get up here and it's time to create the front post treble crochet, we want the points to kind of converge to a single point. So what I mean is follow the slant. Okay, so follow the slant up, and then you want to put your stitch marker where the slant leads, so into the single crochet that the slant is in. Okay, so I follow this up. This is the single crochet right there that's in that front post treble crochet, so that's where I want to put my stitch marker. So place that there like that. Okay, and then if I follow this one up, get the silver one, these 2 loops are in that front post treble crochet, so that's where I'm going to place the stitch marker like that. Okay, so I'm going to have a slant that's coming from this direction going there, and then I'm going to have another one going that way, and then I'm going to have 2 more. Okay, let's add these last 2 stitch markers. So I follow the front post treble crochet up, and then I identify what loops are in the top of that front post treble crochet. Well, this loop and this loop. Okay, so that's the single crochet that I want to place a stitch marker on. So I'll do just that, like that. And then follow this one up. That's the top. And now I want to see what loops are in the top of that one. See, that and that. That's the single crochet. Those 2 loops correspond to that single crochet, that top of the single crochet. So these 2 loops. So that's where I want to place my 4th and final stitch marker. Okay? And then there we go. So we have our 4 stitch markers placed, and now we can continue with the row 6 and 7 of single crochets. Remember, we just completed row 5. Okay, so I've already chained one. I chained one before I turned my work. Don't forget to put your first single crochet in that very first single crochet where the chain one is coming out of. And I'm just going to crochet single crochets. Continue putting one single crochet in every stitch across. You should be maintaining your number of stitches. For me, that's 14. And then I'll meet you when it's time to crochet row 7. See you there. I've just completed row 6. So now I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and make row 7 a row of single crochets, maintaining for me 14 stitches across. Alright, I'll meet you at the end of this row. So I have just completed row 7. I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and now you guys, it's time to do the fun row, the row with the front post treble crochets. Okay, and this is row 8. Okay, so this is the last row of that pattern repeat. Remember, you're going to repeat rows 1 through 8. Okay, so you're going to start out by putting one single crochet in that very first stitch like that. Okay, now last time here we started with 3 single crochets, but this time just look where you're trying to go. You want it to slant, so you only want to use one single crochet, okay? And then you want to start the front post treble crochet. If you forget whether the row should begin with 3 single crochets or with 1, just think about what you did the last time. You used 3 single crochets, okay? So this time we're going to do 1, and it's just going to alternate. Alright, so let's make this front post treble crochet. Enough chatter. Yarn over twice, 1, 2. Go down to the stitch, insert the hook, come out on the other side, pull your yarn forward, pull it through like that. Give yourself slack, 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Now, you might be wondering, well, what do I do at this point? Well, you want it to go out that way, right? So that means you want to put 4 single crochets there to kind of give you that space so that it slants that way. But the question is always, what's the next stitch that I'm going to crochet into? So what you want to do is pull this back, look at the last stitch that was crocheted into, which is there, right? Get my darning weaving tapestry needle. It's there. So this one is free. That's for the front post treble crochet, right? That we just made. So this is the next one. That's the available one right there. So that's where we're going to go in. And we'll put our yarn to the back. Alright, so right there, that's going to be our first, where we place our first single crochet. So I inserted it, I sliced the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2. And remember, I want 4 single crochets. That's number 1. The next one, number 2. The next one, number 3. The next one, number 4. Okay? Now it's time to make another front post treble crochet. Yarn over twice, 1, 2. Go down to that stitch marker, okay? Enter from the front on the right side of the stitch, and then back out just on the left side on the other side. Pull your yarn forward, and then yarn over, and pull through like that. Give yourself slack. You should have 4 loops now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Okay? And now you see you have that and then that. Okay? That's what you want. Alright. Now you might be wondering, what do I do next? Well, it looks like if we want a slant to go here, we should probably immediately make another front post treble crochet, right? We don't want to get too close over here or it won't be slanted, it'll be coming straight down. So when you see this and you got that, that should tell you you're going to put another front post treble crochet right away. Okay, so let's do that. Yarn over twice, 1, 2. Now we're going to go down right side of the stitch out to the back. Okay, go around and come out on the other side of the stitch and stitch marker, which is there. Okay, now we're going to pull our yarn forward, yarn over, and pull through like that. Give yourself some slack. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1 and 2. Alright, just like before, you see that slant, so we know we want one to go that way, but we need to create the space in there. How do we create space in there? By making 4 single crochets like we did there. But before we can start those 4 single crochets, we need to know which stitch we should crochet into. Well, we figure that out by pulling back and looking at the last stitch that was crocheted into, which was there. So that leaves this one available, but that counts as the first front post treble crochet. Then there's this one, which is the second front post treble crochet. Remember, they were back to back. Okay, so this is the first available one. So that's where we're going to start our single crochets. Alright, so I'll leave that in there. Put my yarn to the back, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook there. Pull that out now. Alright, and make my single crochet. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, and next stitch, 4. Okay, we have one more stitch marker, which should tell you that you have one more front post treble crochet to make in this row, which is row 8, in case you forgot. So yarn over twice, 1, 2. Go down from the front, insert your crochet hook, go out to the back. Okay, then come around that stitch and come out to the front again, just on the other side of it. Pull your yarn forward, yarn over, and pull through. Try not to split the yarn. Then give yourself slack. Okay, you should have 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Okay, remember, symmetry is important, you guys. So how should we end this row? Well, how did we start it? We started by putting just 1 single crochet in that first single crochet, and then we started the front post. So we have this right here, we have the front post, so we want to end with 1 single crochet. We can look at it and say, okay, it should probably go in there because that's the last single crochet, but let's check it and make sure the math works out. So as before, we bring this back, look at the last stitch that was crocheted into, which is there. So this is the next stitch, the first available one, but that counts as the stitch for the front post treble crochet, so we don't mess with that one. So this is the one that we use, okay, and that is the last stitch of the row. So we were correct. That's going to be the stitch we make our single crochet with or into. So put our yarn to the back again, slice the icing off the top of the cake, and make your single crochet. Okay, so this is what you have, and that, my friends, is row 8. Now we start the pattern again. So we chain 1, and rows, remember, 1 through 3 are rows of just single crochets, 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to go through and make my single crochets, but I want to count just so you guys see that I'm maintaining 14 stitches. 1, here's that front post treble crochet that's not attached there, right? So make sure you go into the top of the front post, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's another front post. So see how there's that hole there? Make sure you go into the top of the front post. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, here's the next front post. I'm not going in there. I'm going in the top of the front post treble crochet. 8. Now I'm back to the regular attached crochets. 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's a front post. 13, and the final single crochet, which gets me to 15. Okay? Alright, so we just completed row 1. I'll chain 1, turn my work, and for the beginners, if you were going to use stitch markers, you would stop now and place your stitch markers. Okay? Once again, the way you know where to place your stitch markers is to follow the front post treble crochet up, and then pay attention to the single crochet that's in the top of it. Okay, so like this single crochet is in the top of this front post treble crochet right there. So that's where I would place a stitch marker. Then I would place one there, and then one there, and then one there. Okay, I know there are going to be some of you who are thinking, oh, I can't see it. I wish you had used different yarn. This is difficult. So while some of you might like the big, thick plush yarn, there are going to be some of you, especially the newbies, who are like, this is tough. Yeah, the yarn is bigger, but it's kind of fuzzy and it's hard to see. So I am going to now go through rows 1 through 8 using a smaller yarn, and in that clip you'll see that I actually did chain out the 21 stitches that I said I was going to chain out with this one. Okay, so things will become clearer. You'll be able to clearly see the stitches. They will be clearly defined. So don't get discouraged if this doesn't seem like you can do it, from seeing it, because you're having trouble seeing what's happening. That's about to be rectified. Okay, so stay tuned. I told you guys it would become clearer. Alright, so I just completed row 1 of this pattern repeat, which was just a row of single crochets. And now, as I told you, I'm stopping because I want to place some stitch markers. Obviously, I've been crocheting without using the stitch markers, but I'm going to act like I'm a newbie and I need the stitch markers. So now I'm going to stop and place them. So remember, what you want to do is you want to follow the front post treble crochet up, okay, and then pay attention to the loops that are in the top of it. So here's the front post treble crochet. That's the top of the stitch, and we see that that loop and that loop, those two loops are in the top of the stitch. So that's where we want to place our stitch marker. Okay, so just put it in there like that and close it. Alright, this one, follow that one up here, see what loops, two loops are in the top of that. Here's the top of the stitch. We see that that loop and that loop, okay, are in that stitch, and those two loops, by the way, correspond to that top right there. Okay, so if you're wondering which two loops you should go into, make sure that they are in the top of the stitch. I'll show you what I mean. So if you try to go into that loop, well, that loop isn't in the top of the stitch. That loop plus that loop are in the top of this front post treble crochet. Okay, so that one is going to get a stitch marker as well, like that. Okay, the next front post treble crochet is there. Here's the top of the stitch. Pay attention to what two loops are in the top of the stitch, that one and that one. So that's where we're going to put our stitch marker, right? And remember, those two loops correspond to that top right there. Okay, see that? All right, this one is there. that's the top. So which loops are in there? That one and that one. Alright, so I'll place a stitch marker in there. Going through 1, 2. Okay. And then the last front post treble crochet, follow it up. There's the top of it where that hole is. Which 2 loops are in there? Ah, that one and that one are in there. So that's where I'm going to place my stitch marker, in those 2 loops, going through those. And remember, those 2 loops correspond to that top right there. Okay? Notice that I have 6 stitch markers. Why? Because I told you that with this one I ended up chaining 21. Okay? Alright, so I've chained 1, I've turned my work, I'm starting row 2 now of the repeat. So remember, rows 1 through 3, you just put 1 single crochet in every stitch. Okay, so don't forget this first one, it's very important. So 1, let's just count, and remember I should have a total of 20 because I chained 21, so I should have a total of 20 stitches. 2. Why 20, Atreyu? Well, because when I chained 21, I skipped the first chain and made my first single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So by skipping that first chain, that left me with 20. Just like before, when you saw the the bigger one using the plush yarn, when I chained 15, that left me with 14 single crochets, okay, or stitches. All right, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just crocheting into the tops of them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's curve that down so it's out of the way. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and don't forget this last single crochet right there. That's my 20. So I've maintained my 20 stitches, which is a good thing. Okay, that was row 2. Chain 1, turn your work, and remember row 3 is also a row of single crochets. Don't forget that very first one. 1, 2, you guys get the point. I'll meet you at the other end. See you there. Alright, so as you can see, I'm across. So chain 1, turn my work, and now starting row 4, the fun row, because now I start with my front post treble crochets. Now think about how many single crochets you started the last time you made the front post. Well, I put 1 single crochet there and then it was the front post. So remember, you're going to alternate between the 1 single crochet front post and then the 3 single crochet front post, which you did here. 1, 2, 3, and then front post. Well, since the last one we did where we made a front post, we only put 1 single crochet and then start the front post. In this row, row 4, we're going to do 3 single crochet and then start the front post. So don't forget to go into that first stitch. Remember, that's very important. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3. Okay, now we're going to start the front post. So yarn over twice. 1, 2, come down from the front on the right side of the stitch, go out to the back like that, right? Come back out to the front just on the other side of the stitch. Try that again. On the right side, and then come out to the front just on the other side. It can be tougher when you're using smaller yarn, so just take your time. Okay, and now we're on the other side of the stitch. Bring your yarn forward, yarn over, pull through. Okay, 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2, 3 times. So yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Make sure you don't split your yarn. Okay, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. That's the second time. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. That's the third time. Alright, now what? Well, I need one to go this way, so that tells me I should make another front post treble crochet immediately, right? Because if I wait till I get over here, it's gonna go straight down, but I want it to slant. Okay, remember you want it to go like that and then like that. Okay, so I'll make another front post treble crochet. So yarn over twice, 1, 2. Alright, now go down on the right side. So find the stitch marker, go on from the front, the right side of the stitch, okay, and then back and around just on the other side. And as I said, it can be tight, okay, depending on how tightly you crochet. I have a tight tension, as you guys know, so yeah, I run into this problem often. Okay, now I got it. Bring my yarn forward, just like that, and then pull through. Going back out the way you came. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1 and 2. Alright, so now we need to figure out where we're going to crochet. We know that we're going to make some single crochets, 4 of them to be exact, but where do we start? Up here, where do we put that first single crochet? Well, just like before, you pull back like that and you look at where the last single crochet was crocheted into. Well, this one is in that one, so this is the first free one. Okay, that will count for one of the front post treble crochets, but remember we made 2, so this will count for the second front post treble crochet. So this is where we're going to start our 4 single crochets. Okay, this will be the first one that'll go in there. So I will push this out of the way now and just go in there and put my single crochet. So that'll be 1, right? The next one will be 2. The next one will be 3. The next one will be 4. Okay? Now it's time to make a front post treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over twice, 1, 2. Go down from the front, go in on the right side of the stitch, and come immediately back out on the left side. Okay? Like that. Yarn over, pull through. And try not to split the yarn, because it can be tough when you're working with smaller yarn, which is why I wanted to use the bigger yarn for you guys. Alright, if it gets tangled like that, just start it over. Yarn over twice, 1, 2. Enter from the right side to the back, okay, and then come out on the left side of the stitch, okay. Yarn over, and you'll know that you didn't catch on to any yarn because when you pull through back, it should come through easily like this. See how much easier that was than the last time? Okay, give yourself a little slack. And then 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over and go through 2, 3 times. So yarn over, go through 2, 1. Yarn over, go through 2, 2. Yarn over, go through 2, 3. Okay. And now we have whoosh, whoosh, and then whoosh. Okay. Now here's another one, but think about, you want one to slant that way, so we're going to make immediately another front post treble crochet. 1, 2. Enter on the right side of the stitch. From the front out to the back, and then back out to the front. Okay. Pull your yarn forward, yarn over, pull through. Remember, it should go through easily. If it doesn't, it means you caught a hold of something that you shouldn't have. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Okay. Now what? Well, we want one to go that way, so we need those 4 single crochets first, right? But where do we start them? Which one of these stitches do we start that first single crochet? Well, pull back, pay attention to the last stitch that was occupied, which was that one. So this is a free one. So that's 1 front post single crochet. This is the second one. That counts for the second front post single crochet. So this will be the first available one that we're going to make that regular single crochet into. So let's pull that out. Okay. So it's going to be that one. So put our yarn to the back, and it's right there. And we'll make our 4 single crochets. So that's 1. That's 2. Next stitch, that's 3. Next stitch, that's 4. Okay. All right, now we want to slant this way. So front post treble crochet, yarn over twice, go from the front, enter on the right side of the stitch, go around and back out to the front like that. Okay. Pull your yarn forward, yarn over, and pull back through. Remember, if it doesn't come through easily, that means you've caught a hold of something. And you can see there that I caught a hold of the blue there. So that's no good. So I will take it out and start it over. You got to have patience, you guys, okay? Yarn over 1, yarn over 2. Try it again. Enter, okay? And then come back out on the other side. Okay. Pull your yarn forward, yarn over, and then pull through. And try not to grab anything. You just want to go through the stitch. Almost there. There we go. Okay, give yourself a little slack, and you should have 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Alrighty. We have one more stitch marker down here, and we can tell that we wanted to go that way, so we need to immediately make another front post treble crochet. Yarn over 1, yarn over 2, enter the right side of the stitch, okay, like that. Go out to the back, okay, and then we want to come back out to the front just on the other side of the stitch. And as I said, it can be tough with smaller yarn. Pull your yarn forward, yarn over, and pull through. See how easily that happened? That means that I didn't get caught on any yarn that I should not have been caught on. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Now, always ask yourself, how do I end this row? Well, you end it the same way you started it. I started it with 3 single crochets, so I should end it with 3 single crochets. Let's pull back so I can see where I should enter. Okay, so I last crocheted a single crochet in that one. So this is the first available, which counts for the front post treble crochet, right? That's 1, so it counts for that one. Here's the next one, but remember that counts for that second front post treble crochet. So the first single crochet that we're going to make should go in there. And look, we have 3. 1, 2, 3. So the math works. So this is where we'll put our first single crochet. So put your yarn to the back and then make your last 3 single crochets for this row. 1, next stitch, 2, last stitch, 3. And we have achieved symmetry, okay? And this is how you make the lattice work for you, okay? So at this point, we just completed row 4. So now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and row 5, 6, and 7 will just be rows of single crochet. Don't forget this first one at the very beginning. 1, 2, 3. Remember, when you get to the front post treble crochets, they're not attached. See how there's this little gap, right? These are the 2 that we bypassed that counted for the front post treble crochets. So when you get there, make sure you don't crochet into that. Make sure you crochet into the actual front post treble crochet. You see? Right there. Okay? So slice the icing off the top of the cake of the front post treble crochet to make your single crochet. And then you have another one right there. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're back to the regular single crochets. 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're to 2 more front post treble crochets. 10, 11. Now we're back to the regular single crochets. 12, 13, 14, 15. Now we're back to the front post treble crochets. I think this is 15. And the next one, 16. Maybe I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh yeah, I didn't. 18, and then we have 2 more. This would be 19. And then the last one, don't forget, last single crochet makes 20. Okay, so that is row 5. Chain 1. You should be hearing alarms going off in your head telling you row 1 and row 5. Wah, 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 stop. And place your stitch markers if you are going to do that. I'm not going to do it this time because I've shown you how to do it before. So I'm just going to go ahead and crochet the next rows 6 and 7 of single crochets. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of this row, which is row 6. See you there, over there. Alright, so I just completed row 6. Now it's time to work on row 7. Chain 1, and remember, it's just a row of single crochets, but don't forget that first one, right, where that chain 1 is coming out of. Alright, so just put 1 single crochet in every single crochet below, and I will meet you at the end of this row. See you there. So I've just completed row 7, and now it's time to do the last row, row 8 of the pattern repeat. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, okay, and as I said before, when it's time to figure out where you should put your front post treble crochets, you need to just follow the previous one, okay, because you want, if they converge there, that's where you want to start so that they can diverge. Okay, so these are going in, so we know we're going to have some going out. Okay, also remember, the rows where you do front post treble crochets, they will either start with 1 single crochet in the first stitch, or the row is going to start with 3 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Look at what you did the last time. Okay, so here, so follow the last front post treble crochet. You can see we made 3 single crochets there. 1, 2, 3, and then we did a front post. So since we did 3 there, this time we're only going to put 1 single crochet, and then we're going to start the front post, which makes sense. We want it to be more over there so it can slant that way, right? Okay, so we've chained 1. Let's put our single crochet in there. Alright, and now we start the front post. Yarn over twice. 1, 2. Alright, follow the slant up there. This is the top of the stitch. Always grab the loops that are in the top of the stitch. That's that one right there, and also that one right there. Okay, see how those 2 are in the top of the stitch there. Okay, so that's where we're going to enter. So we'll go on the right side like that, go out to the back, and then come back just to the front just on the other side of the stitch. And as I said, it can be a little difficult when you're working with smaller stitches and when you have a tight tension like I usually do. Alright, so we made it through. Yarn over. We're bringing your yarn forward and yarning over, and then pulling through. You can see how easily it came back. I gave myself slack, and that means I didn't catch on to yarn that I should not have caught on to. I have 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, go through 2, 3 times, that's 1, yarn over, go through 2, that's 2, yarn over, go through 2, that's 3. Alright, now, because I know I want one to slant that way, I know I'm going to have to put 4 single crochets in between this one and the one that I'm going to make. But which one up here do I crochet into? Which one do I start making those single crochets? Well, let's look. Pull back. Okay, I put a single crochet in that one. This is the next one, the first available, but that is for the front post treble crochet. So this is going to be the one I crochet into. Okay, right there. So I'm going to put my yarn to the back, and then I'm going to go in there and make my single crochet, the first of 4, right? So yarn over, pull through to the front. That's 1, next stitch. That's 2, next stitch. That's 3, and next stitch. That's 4. Now it's time to make a front post treble crochet. So I'm going to yarn over twice. 1, 2. Where do I go? Well, I always follow the treble crochet up, the front post treble crochet up. So I follow it up, here's the top, and now I look for which loops are in the top. Well, it looks like that one, it's in there, and if I can get it in here, so we got that one and that one. Okay, that's the single crochet that we're going to crochet into. So we're going to enter the right side from the front of the stitch out to the back like that. Okay, I'm going to remove this now and come back around just on the other side like that. Yarn over, pull through, try not to catch onto anything. I can see there's some red there, which shouldn't be, so I'm going to let go. There we go. I saved it. Wow. Okay, sometimes you get lucky and you save it and you don't have to undo it. That was lucky, guys. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2, 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now we know we want our next front post to go this way, so we need to make another front post immediately. So 1, 2. Okay. Follow it up. That's the top of the stitch where that hole is. Which loops are in there? Well, that one is in there, and that one right there is in there. So that's where we're going to enter. From the front, go out to the back, and then back out to the front, just on the other side. Bring your yarn forward, yarn over, and pull through like that. 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1 and 2. Alright. The next one, well, we want one, so that's going like that. We want one to go like that, so we know we need to put the 4 single crochets in between. Where do we start the single crochets though? Well, pull back. Okay. This one is occupied, so this one is the first free one, but that's for the front post treble crochet. But remember, we did 2, 1, 2, so that right there is for the first one. That one's for the second one, so this is going to be the first one that we use right there. Okay, so we will enter there, that's the one. Okay, and make 1 single crochet, next one, 2, next one, 3, next one, 4. Okay, now it's time for a front post treble crochet, so we can go that way. So yarn over twice, 1, 2. Follow the front post treble crochet up and see what stitches or loops are in the top of it. Well, that one and that one are in the top of that, right? So we'll insert our crochet hook. Let me move this out of the way now that I've identified it. Go out to the back and then come around to the front, just on the other side, yarn over, and I lost it. Come out just on the other side of the stitch, yarn over, and pull through. Try not to grab yarn that you shouldn't grab, which I tend to do. Okay, there we go, like that, yarn over, and go back. Trying to avoid yarn. There we go. Okay, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Alright. So now we know we want one to go that way, so we need to make another one immediately. So yarn over 1, 2. Okay. Follow that up. These 2 loops are in the top, right? So we'll enter there on the right side of that stitch, and it's a little tight because my tension is tight, and then I'll come out just on the other side of the stitch without splitting it. Okay, yarn over, bring your yarn forward, and then yarn over, pull through. Got it, but I just lost it. Okay, there we go. Now give yourself slack. 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so we need one more to go that way, so that means we need to have 4 single crochets here to create that space. But which one do we start? Well, pull back, pay attention to the last one that you crocheted into, which is there, and you see we made 2 front post treble crochets. So this is the first available, that's for the first one. This is the next one available, that's for the second one. So that means that this one right here, that's gonna be where we put our first single crochet. Okay, so that's that one. So we'll insert, making sure our yarn is in the back now, and make 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4. Okay, and then we have one more to make. So yarn over twice, 1, 2. Alright, follow the slant up. Here's the space, the top of the stitch. Which loops are in the top? That one and that one. Remember, the 2 loops are what form that single crochet. That green right there, that green single crochet is in the top of that single crochet. It can be a little tough to identify what single crochet is because the stitch is so short, it's so small, but yeah, that's why I like to grab the loops. Okay, so I'm going to now enter on the right side. So get it in there. Alright, and then come out just on the other side. That, I think that's decent. Yarn over, and then pull through. Hopefully it's not grabbing onto anything that I shouldn't. It'll let me know though. Okay, I made it through. Whew. I was granted safe passage. Alright, and then 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. And yarn over, go through 2. Okay? Now, once you get to the end, remember, always ask yourself, how do I end the row? Well, the same way you started it. How did we start it? We started with 1 single crochet and then the front post. So that means we have 1 front post, so then we just need to put 1 single crochet in that last stitch. But let's check the math by pulling that back. This stitch is occupied with that. This stitch right there is for the front post treble crochet right there, right? So that leaves this stitch for the single crochet. So the math checks out. So slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2. Alright, you guys, so this is how you do this pattern. So that, I just completed row 8. So you'll just continue repeating rows 1 through 8. Remember, stopping on right after row 1 after you've completed it, and right again after row 5 once you completed it, and placing those stitch markers if you plan on using them. If not, you can just do what I just did, follow it up, find the space, find the 2 loops that are in the space, which is the top of that front post treble crochet, and then you know where to enter from the front, go to the back, and then come out just on the other side of the stitch, that other loop, that second loop. Okay, so you'll continue doing this until it gets long enough. Now I will say that with the smaller yarn, this is a medium 4, you're probably going to at least need 2 skeins, maybe more, depending on how long you want your scarf to be. And then at the end, once you've completed row 8, I would probably make one more row of single crochet to kind of have it match the end here. See how it looks like there too, and then the pattern starts. So just to give it a little top border, I would make another row of single crochet. Okay. Alright guys, this has been a long video. My apologies, but you guys know I like to be thorough. That is going to be it for this video, but you know I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting. So as you can see, I crocheted a second row of single crochets, and I just lost the footage where I fastened off and weaved in the tail. I don't know what's going on with my camera, so I apologize that I can't show you that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you I crocheted the second row of single crochets so that it kind of matches the other edge. And when I got to the end, I chained 1, cut my yarn, and I didn't even have that much yarn left. This was all I had left from that big ball. Chained 1, cut my yarn, fastened off, and then weaved in the tail. Alright, going to the other edge, here where I started, you see all the stitch markers. I pulled this tail out. I also showed that I weaved that in, but I lost that footage. So I pulled it out so I could demonstrate again for those of you who have never done this. Just feed it through, okay? Alright, and then go through some nearby stitches in one direction, like that. Alright, and then take a slightly different path, going back in the other direction. Slightly different path, because if you go the exact same way you came, you're going to undo what you did. Okay? Then you just cut this tail down without cutting your work. Alright, so I wanted to add this little bit at the end to give you more information. I want to reward you guys who are watching all the way to the end. I appreciate it. And yeah, for your support, I just want to give you some extra information. So, the first thing that I want to tell you are the measurements of this scarf, okay, using this big bulky yarn, right? So, that one big ball that you saw at the beginning of this video, it made all of this, okay, this scarf, and this scarf is 58.5 inches long, so that's about 148.5 centimeters, okay? And then by chaining out 15 and then, you know, working in the second stitch from the hook when the hook was there, and then crocheting 14 single crochets, that width with my tension and my, you know, size 8mm US crochet hook, that gave me a width of 7 inches wide, which is about 18 centimeters, okay? So if you want a scarf that's longer, then you might need more than one big ball. But I like this length. You know, this is long enough for me to wrap around and fit under a jacket. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about this scarf is that it is kind of reversible. Okay. Reversible? What? What do you mean? Well, look at this. On this side, this is what it looks like, right? I don't know if you guys can tell, but there are all these dimples in the pattern on this side, okay? Let's see if you can see. You can't probably see. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. There's a dimple, there's a dimple, there's a dimple, there's a dimple, there's a dimple. Those dimples were created when we didn't crochet into the actual stitches of the main piece of work, but we made the front post treble crochets, okay? So in a sense, this scarf is reversible. You can have this very nice, beautiful lattice pattern, okay? Or you can have this side with these dimples, and because the yarn is variegated, you know, it also has a nice pattern as well, okay? but I really like the dimples. It's kind of like the hollows in there. It's darker, right? So yeah, it's up to you. So this is a cool reversible scarf that you can make, and using the big yarn and the size 8mm US hook, I was able to crochet this scarf probably with an hour and a half. Okay, it takes a little bit longer because, you know, of the slightly intricate work that's being done with the lattice effect, but it's really, really easy, you guys. So I hope you guys don't, you know, become discouraged because of the lattice. Like, it's really easy, and that's why I've gone into so much detail in this video, because I really want you to try it, and I really want you to do it, to prove to yourself that you can do it. So when you do make it, definitely let me know how it turns out, and if you have any questions which are not already answered in the video, then feel free to reach out. One last thing that I want to say is, if you don't want to use the big yarn, if instead you want to make it with a medium 4 yarn and have something like this, this is fine as well. I think you're definitely going to need more than one skein. I would say 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 if you want a really long scarf, right? And I just love this. I love this. I didn't finish this yet, and I am going to finish it, but I haven't finished it yet because I need to get more yarn. I was just working with some leftover yarn from a previous project, but I really love this lattice effect using this colorway. So yeah, the good thing about using medium 4 yarn that's not the blanket yarn that I use for the other scarf is that there's a certain clarity to it, right? You can really see like the lattice effect, and it's just beautiful. And you know, even when I remove these stitch markers, that effect will become even more pronounced because they're kind of detracting away from the effect, but it's still obviously clearly visible. Okay, so if you guys made it all the way to the end of the video, then let me know what the measurements are. You can leave them in inches, or you can leave them in centimeters if you are a metric system user, which you probably are. Yeah, and then I'll know you watched all the way to the end. Thank you so much, and now I'm really going to say goodbye. See you next time.